Hi, everybody. This is SAAD for the SAAD Truth. I just returned from the gym, so forgive me if I looked as though, well, I just returned from the gym. As I was looking at my Twitter account, I received a message pointing me to the story that I'm about to discuss. I wish I could say that I'm surprised by it, but I'm not. But again, here I am warning you about the looming dangers that we all face as most people sit complicit in their apathy. But in any case, let me describe the story. This is reported, I'm reading this from Breitbart News. It must be fake because they're a neo-Nazi outlet, you know. So please don't be lobotomized. Don't worry that it's in Breitbart News. The veracity of the story is unquestionable. Jamie Glazoff, who is a gentleman who now lives in California, I've appeared on his show, is a gentleman who criticizes Islamic doctrines, was kicked out of Twitter. I think it's not permanent yet, but maybe it'll eventually become permanent because he actually quoted and referenced specific Islamic texts that speak to certain realities. And he certainly is not the first to fall victim to this impossible Orwellian reality. So again, think about it. There might be some hate speech that is contained in religious doctrines. As a matter of fact, they're laden with hate speech. Again, I despise the term hate speech. There is no hate speech other than a direct incitement to violence. And many religious doctrines are precisely that. So if there's anything that can fit under the rubric of hate speech, it is precisely specific religious doctrines that we should all be able to point to and discuss and reference in a free society. But apparently the existence of the genocidal hatred in religious doctrines is perfectly allowed because, religious freedom and, tolerance and diversity and inclusiveness. But if you point to the genocidal hate, that makes you hateful. So let me again repeat, this is not satire. If there is genocidal hate contained in a religion, that's perfectly acceptable. If you point verbatim to that genocidal hate, you are guilty of hateful conduct. No satire, no Orwellian prophecy, nothing could have allowed us to presume that we could have reached this level. But in any case, let me just point to some of the hate, the quote hate. Let me just read you some of the article. Canadian columnist and host of the Glazoff gang, Jamie Glazoff, was suspended from Twitter after he posted direct quotes from the Qur'an and the Hadith. Basically, he was locked out for violating rules against hateful conduct. And then here I'm going to read the tweets that resulted in Glazoff's temporary suspension related to Sahih Bukhari's text discussing Muhammad's marriage to Aisha when she was 6 years old, and a quote posted by Glazoff from the Quranic surahs that mandates the hijab for women and sanctions sexual slavery. These direct quotes from Islamic religious texts were apparently enough to result in Glazoff's account being locked until he deleted the offending tweets. I mean, isn't that what blasphemy law is? Right? Now, in some countries, if he were to transgress in the way that he did, say Raif Badawi, with whom I've become good friends with his wife and his 3 lovely children. We had dinner a few weeks ago with the actor Mark Pellegrino and his lovely wife and some other friends. So Raif Badawi is now languishing in a Saudi prison for 10 years. Well, it's now been, I think, 6 years, but his sentence, I think, is for 10 years and maybe 1,000 lashes. And I guess here they were being merciful because they could have killed him for, insulting Islam and so on. In the context of the West, we don't yet kill you, but we'll certainly kill your voice. And in the case of Twitter, this is exactly what they've done. So you may not promote violence against, threaten, or harass other people based on the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious affiliation, age, disability, or serious disease. Wow. So you can't criticize the specific contents of a religious text. You can't do that. Well, of course, we know that you can do that for 9,999 religions. You just can't do it to one. So here is one of the offending tweets. I'm quoting the actual tweet from Jamie Glazov. You know well one of the main roots of Muslim women's suffering under Islam, Muhammad marrying Aisha when she was 6, consummating with her when she was 9. And then he quotes the exact passage. Sahih Bukhari 7.62.88. Muhammad also beat her. Sahih Muslim 4:2127. A recipe for torture. And then the second one, Christian women aren't punished for not veiling. Muslim women are, because Qur'an 24:31 and 33:59. Acid attacks stem from Sharia's misogynist sanctioning of punishing women. Foundation, Qur'an's sanctioning of rape and sex slavery. Surahs 4:3, 33:50. And then let me just read what Glazov's comments were. They're very poignant. Twitter has bowed to Islamic blasphemy laws and is now going after truth tellers about jihad and Sharia oppression. That is why Tommy Robinson and Shazia Hobbs, who, by the way, was born to a Muslim background but criticizes now Islam, and so she's banned, are banned permanently from Twitter. It is why Twitter suspends the account of people like ex-FBI agent John Guandolo and illustrator Bosch Foston, who, by the way, was on my show. These are people who are simply trying to defend freedom as well as to protect Muslim and non-Muslim people from jihad and Sharia. I have been suspended in this case because they are saying I violated their rules against, quote, hateful conduct. I have engaged in no hateful conduct whatsoever. I am a human rights activist fighting on behalf of Muslim women and girls who suffer under Sharia oppression. All that my 2 tweets in question did is refer to the verses in the Hadith and Qur'an that record Muhammad's marriage to Aisha when she was 6 years old and that sanction sex slavery. This is not me saying it. I'm simply referring to Islamic texts that say it. For them to allege that Islamic texts are hateful is a grave insult to Muslims across the world. Well played there, Jamie. But this is the key. If a Muslim had referred to these same texts in support of child marriage and sex slavery, he would not be suspended. It is referring to these texts if you are against child marriage and sex slavery that constitutes the problem on Twitter. It is a sad day for free speech and for the effort to protect Muslim women and girls from oppression. It is hateful conduct to turn our backs on suffering people and on the causes of their suffering. Again, in a free society, no ideology, no belief system, no attitude, no theory gets a free pass. That's why it's called a free society. If it is no longer legal, condoned to criticize specific contents of a religion, then we are effectively no longer a free society. So you could either contribute to the battle of ideas, you could contribute to the slow eradication of our freedoms. Yes, you may not notice it because you're busy today studying for your exam, you're preparing for your daughter's wedding, you need to buy some milk because you ran out of milk and it's important before the kids come home. So we're all busy in our daily lives for all sorts of reasons. But the nefarious forces that are trying to turn the good run that we've had as free, secular, liberal, democratic societies are not going to go away because you're busy buying your tomatoes and eggs. Everybody has a stake in this fight. Everybody has a voice. Some voices are bigger than others, but that's okay. Everybody can contribute to the battle. Find whichever productive way you could contribute and do so. It is your fight. It is the fight to protect your children and theirs from forces that have been pretty much the default value for much of human history. So don't be complicit. Don't be apathetic. Join the fight. Cheers.